Hi, I'm Chrissy, and I'm here at Pukalani Falls with the old Captain Howie. Hey, Captain.
Howdy, folks.
How's it going?
Not much room for improvement. It's another day in paradise and with my old buddy Chrissy.
I have actually come up with some questions that some brides and grooms have called in to Above Heaven's Gate, our office, and have asked me a lot of questions about how to get their marriage license. So I thought I would just
Ask the expert, huh?
ask the expert.
Okay.
So, Captain Howie, what is required in Hawaii to get married?
Well, the ultimate requirement in Hawaii, which is the same as anywhere else in our universe, is to find someone who loves you.
It's very
If
important.
you find someone who can truly open their heart to you, accept you as they are, and spend the rest of their life with you in harmony and love, that's the hard part. And the easy part is a piece of cake. We can cover that.
Okay. Do you have to be physically present to get the marriage license, or can I call from, say, Minnesota and say, I want to get married in Hawaii, give me a license, and I'll be there in 2 weeks?
Yeah, if you're in Minnesota, you'd probably want to get married in Hawaii, especially in the winter time.
Yeah?
Man, they had a cold winter, I heard.
That's what I heard, too.
But anyway, no, you have to be physically present in the state of Hawaii.
Okay.
There really isn't much you can do ahead of time.
Okay. What's the cost to get to a license here?
The cost is $60 in
That's
cash.
not
And incidentally, that is lower than the national average. It's actually quite a bit higher. Some states it's well over $100, but here $60, and it has to be U.S. cash. They will not accept a check.
Okay. What are the age requirements to get married here?
Requirements are a little bit different for different ages.
Mm-hmm.
If you are 19 or older, all you're going to need is your photo ID and $60 in cash. If you are 17 or 18, you're going to need written consent from a parent or legal guardians, or you can have documentation from a family judge.
Another question. What if you were previously married? What kind of documents do you need to show to get your license before you get married with you?
If you were married and have gotten divorced, you don't need to show anything, as long as that divorce has been longer than 30 days.
Okay.
And by the way, Chrissy, the same thing's also true with a death.
Okay.
If there's been a death and that ended the marriage, as long as it's longer than 30 days, you won't need any documentation. Otherwise, you will.
Okay. What about witnesses? Are they required?
They used to be, but they're not anymore.
Okay.
I think it's been at least 10 years also that they've dropped the requirement for witnesses. And interestingly, I've seen some wedding companies that provide witnesses and charge for them, but you don't really need them. And thank
Pretty
God you don't need them, because that makes it a lot easier for us.
Because we do have a lot of couples. I get a lot of calls in the office where the couple's just eloping and they just, they don't have any guests coming with them, and they get really concerned about that. So.
And I always recommend that's a great way to get married. Just sneak off by yourself and then
Less
have
stress.
the wedding professionally photographed and videotaped, and go back and have your reception at home.
Yeah.
But I remember in the old days flagging someone down on the beach, some joggers on the beach, so they could be our witnesses.
Really?
And one time I sailed a couple out to this beautiful little island out in the middle of Kaneohe Bay. Kaneohe Bay is where they filmed, by the way, Gilligan's Island.
Oh, yeah.
That's also in Kaneohe Bay. But even further out than Gilligan's Island, I sailed a couple, and there's always fishermen out there. So I took them out there to marry them, and Murphy's Law kicked in that day. No fishermen. I mean, the fish weren't biting, I don't know, but no one was out there.
Have a couple of
We
fish.
waited, and finally, after about 6 hours, a little fishing boat came out, so we had our witnesses.
Okay.
But we don't have to deal with that anymore.
What is the waiting after the license has been issued?
You mean, how long do you have to wait?
What's the waiting period after the license has been issued?
Oh, I see. I understand.
Yeah.
How long do you have to wait before? What is a wait? Is there a waiting period?
Is there a
that your
waiting
question?
period? Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Sorry,
no waiting
I don't
period
know
at
how
all.
to screw that up.
And you can get your license from the Department of Health. Step out the door, and we can marry you.
Okay.
And believe it or not, I've done it.
Because a lot of companies or a lot of states require you to have the license a week ahead of time or a month or
Like a
something
cooling
like
off
that.
period or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, we've had cases where military couples, they like kind of like an emergency deployment,
Mm-hmm.
and they wanted to make sure that their spouse was protected.
Mm-hmm.
So I would meet them down there. They'd get the license. We go out on literally on the steps and marry them.
Okay.
Once I met a couple. I met them at McDonald's. Believe it
Really?
or not, romantic as it was.
That's romantic.
Ronald
Big Mac.
McDonald was a witness. Could have been anyway.
I guess so. Once issued, does the marriage license expire?
Yes, the marriage license is good for 30 days and 30 days only.
Okay.
So if you're going to get married, for example, in 6 weeks, don't get that marriage license yet.
Okay. Where are our Hawaii marriages recognized? Just in Hawaii, or?
When you get married in Hawaii, then that marriage is recognized anywhere in what I'm going to call the civilized world.
Okay. Okay.
Next question.
So is there anything that can be done ahead of time?
About the only thing you do ahead of time is to download off of our website the application and have that all filled out. Our website, by the way, is hawaiiweddings.com. And you can just have, a lot of people are real organized. They want to have everything all filled out and ready to go when they get here. So that can be done.
Okay.
But if you don't fall into that mode and you want to procrastinate that, when you get down to the Department of Health, there'll be stacks and stacks of applications. You'll be tripping over them. It takes about 15 minutes to fill it out.
So basically, you'll save yourself 15 minutes.
That's about it.
Okay.
But some people, it saves them the headache or the anxiety
Yeah.
of feeling that maybe they're not quite prepared, or they're going to get hit with some question they don't know the answer to.
Oh, right.
But they're all simple questions.
Okay. What's required for vow renewals? Do you need to get a license for that?
Well, the requirement is that the person you've been living with for many years still likes you.
Okay.
And if you're
That's a
still
good
in love,
requirement.
then that's all that's required. It's not a legal ceremony. But at the same time, we issue a very beautiful certificate that I designed, that you were married here and
You designed?
renewed your vows.
You designed the certificate?
Well, Chrissy, you work for me, so I get credit for what you've done. Chrissy's an incredible artist.
Thanks.
I'm not going to kiss her that.
Now, maybe later.
All right.
Okay. So, can a couple get married without a license then?
They can get married in the eyes of God, but not in the eyes of the state.
Okay.
And that's not uncommon. Sometimes people, for some reason, they don't want to get legally married. It may screw up an inheritance or something like that. So they just want to get married in the eyes of God, but not in the eyes of the state.
Okay. How long does it take to get proof that you're married?
Hawaii's a little slow on that one.
Yeah.
They take actually 90 to 120 days. That's 3 to 4 months to send you the certified copy of your license that you're married. But they have a little proviso, is that when they issue the application, they're also going to give a little form where you can expedite. And that expedition costs $10.
Is there a number to call to speak to a person live?
If you want to get your questions answered, call us.
808-259-5900.
5900. 259.
808-259-5900.
And you can talk to Chrissy or myself or Jenny or one of the gals in the office.
Okay. And our final question, Captain Howie, for
Okay.
the evening, the afternoon, kind of freaks me out a little bit.
I like freaky questions.
It's a little freaky.
Okay,
But
lay it
the
on me.
question is, how close blood-wise can you marry?
Good question. In Hawaii, believe it or not, you can marry as close as first cousins. Sounds freaky, doesn't it?
Really?
Yeah, I actually just read that. I always thought it was second cousins.
Yeah.
I called down and spoke to one of the gals in the office. It's actually for first cousins can get married.
Do you think that's because we're a small island, and in order to
I have no
you
idea. I'm not
tend
going to
to run
speculate.
into your
But
first
they were
cousin?
very specific. You cannot marry your sister
That's
or
good.
your brother or your mother or your father. If you want to do that, which is really freaky, you got to go to somewhere like West Virginia,
Arkansas.
yeah,
Yeah.
somewhere back in the bush.
Yeah.
But I've actually heard they got a little stricter in West Virginia about that.
Really?
They're cracking down. Yeah, if you want to marry a sister or brother, you're going to need a written consent from a neighbor, and that neighbor has to be at least 9 years old. Anyway,
Well, thank you, Captain Howie, for
thank you,
joining
Chrissy.
us.
What about the kiss you promised me?
All right.
Mwah.
Mwah.
And aloha, everyone.
Aloha.